Hey everyone, and welcome back to English Podcast 2.0. We're diving into something pretty amazing today.
Yeah,
How to unlock fluency in English,
that's right.
even if you're not a native speaker.
Absolutely. And we're going to be exploring a really interesting approach to doing that.
Okay.
Taking cues from how babies learn language
Oh, wow.
and applying those principles to adult learners.
That sounds cool, but how does that actually work?
Yeah.
I mean, babies just kind of soak up language like sponges.
Right?
Can adults really do the same thing?
Absolutely. It might seem like magic,
Yeah.
but there's actual science behind it.
Okay.
Think about it. Babies don't study grammar rules or memorize vocabulary lists, do
Right.
they?
No.
They learn through constant exposure,
Yeah.
imitation, and repetition.
So you're saying we can learn to speak English fluently
Yeah.
by mimicking how babies learn?
In a way, yes.
Aye.
You see, our brains are wired for language learning,
Right.
no matter our age. When we use a language, our brains create these neural pathways.
Uh-huh.
Think of them like roads in the brain.
Yeah.
The more we use those pathways, the smoother and faster those roads become.
So if I want to get fluent in English, I need to create those English roads in my brain and make sure they're well paved.
Exactly. And the key to paving those roads is practice.
Okay.
One of the biggest hurdles for English learners is this habit of translating everything in their heads.
Oh, yeah.
And this slows us down and prevents us from thinking directly in English.
I see. So it's like I'm taking a detour every time I want to speak English instead of just driving straight down the English highway.
That's a great analogy.
Thank
And here's the fascinating part.
Okay.
When we think directly in English, we activate the same brain areas that native speakers use.
Oh, wow.
This means we can bypass that translation step and boost our fluency significantly.
That's amazing. So how could we train our brains to think directly in English? Do you have any tips?
Absolutely. One technique is called the no translation rule. It's simple but incredibly powerful.
All right.
Challenge yourself to describe your surroundings, your
Yeah.
thoughts, your day, everything directly in English without translating.
So instead of thinking I'm hungry in my native language,
Yeah.
I would consciously say I'm hungry in English.
Precisely. Start small,
Okay.
maybe with simple phrases or single words,
Right.
and gradually build from there.
Sounds like a good mental workout.
It is. Another great way to practice thinking in English is self-talk.
Self-talk.
Yes, narrate your actions and thoughts throughout the day,
Okay.
even if it's just in your head.
Right.
For example, if you're making coffee,
Right.
you could think, I'm pouring the coffee into the mug, or
Yeah.
this coffee smells amazing.
So it's like giving myself a running commentary of my life in English.
Exactly. It might feel a bit strange at first,
Yeah.
but the more you do it, the more natural it will become.
Okay.
You're essentially rewiring your brain to operate in English.
Brain rewiring. That sounds pretty intense.
It is powerful.
Yeah.
And speaking of powerful techniques,
Okay.
have you ever heard of the 5-second rule?
Wait, isn't that about food dropped on the floor?
Not this time.
Okay.
This 5-second rule is all about responding to questions in English within 5 seconds. Even if your answer isn't perfect,
Right.
the goal is to train yourself to think and speak quickly, overcoming that hesitation that often trips us up.
So it's like a fluency boot camp for my brain. You gotta be quick on my feet.
Yes. It helps build those rapid-fire connections in your brain, making fluency feel more automatic.
Okay.
We also have a technique called shadowing,
Shadowing.
which involves mimicking native speakers from podcasts, movies, or videos.
Ooh, shadowing sounds like fun. It's like becoming an English-speaking chameleon.
It's a great way to improve your pronunciation,
Okay.
intonation, and overall flow.
Nice. And speaking of flow,
Yes.
remember to think in phrases, not just individual words.
That's right.
So instead of memorizing happy, I should learn phrases like, I'm feeling really happy today.
Yes. Native speakers use phrases and expressions all the time.
Right.
So training yourself to think in those chunks
Okay.
will make you sound more natural.
Got it. And of course, the most important tip of all is to speak English every single day,
Yes.
even if it's just for a few minutes,
Absolutely.
even if it's just talking to myself in the mirror.
Exactly. The more you speak,
Okay.
the more confident and fluent you'll become.
That makes sense.
But
Let's face it, one of the biggest things that holds us back from speaking is the fear of making mistakes.
oh, absolutely. We've all been there.
Yeah.
It's that feeling of, what if I sound silly? Or
Right.
what if people don't understand me?
It's totally natural to feel that way.
It is.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Everyone makes mistakes.
Everyone, even native speakers.
Exactly. The key is to reframe how we view those mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of seeing them as failures, we need to embrace them as valuable learning opportunities.
I love that.
Easier said than done, right?
Right.
How do we actually shift our perspective to see mistakes as something positive?
It's about changing the narrative in our heads.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, I'm afraid of making mistakes,
Right.
try saying, mistakes help me learn and grow.
I like that.
Remember, every mistake is a chance to improve.
That's a really powerful way to look at it.
Yeah.
So it's not about avoiding mistakes, but about learning from them and using them to get better.
Exactly. And here's another important point.
Okay.
Confidence often comes after you start speaking, not before. So don't wait until you feel perfectly ready to start speaking.
Yeah.
Jump in and start practicing, even if you feel a little nervous.
That's a great point. It's like jumping into a cold pool.
Yes.
It's always going to feel scary until you take the plunge, but once you're in, you realize it wasn't as bad as you thought.
Exactly. And if you feel nervous while speaking, try slowing down your speech.
Okay.
Taking deep breaths and focusing on the message you want to convey.
Right.
Not on being perfect. Most people are understanding and appreciate the effort to communicate.
That's really reassuring. So don't be afraid to make mistakes and don't wait to feel confident before you start speaking.
Right.
Just jump in and practice any other tips for boosting our confidence.
Surround yourself with English as much as possible.
Okay.
Watch English videos, listen to English music, read English books and articles.
Okay.
Creating that English-speaking environment, even if you're not in an English-speaking country,
Right?
can do wonders for your confidence and fluency.
So immerse myself in the language, make it part of my daily life. I like that, but we're all busy people.
Yeah.
How do we make practicing English a consistent habit without feeling overwhelmed?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
We're going to create a simple daily fluency routine
Okay.
that you can stick with, even on your busiest days.
Okay.
Think of it like a workout routine for your English muscles.
I like that.
Ready to get pumped.
Let's do it.
All right, absolutely. Let's create that simple daily routine. That will help you build those English muscles
Okay.
and make fluency a part of your everyday life.
Okay, sounds good to me. I'm ready to get fluent. Tell me more.
All right, step 1. Start your day with a dose of English.
Well,
Spend just 10 minutes listening to something in English.
Right.
This could be a podcast, an audiobook, a news report,
Right.
anything that sparks your interest.
So I'm replacing my morning scroll through social media with some English listening. I could definitely do that.
Exactly. And while you're listening, try shadowing.
Shadowing.
Repeat what you hear,
Wow.
mimicking the pronunciation and intonation.
Hmm.
This will help you internalize the sounds and rhythms of the language.
Okay, step 1 is to listen and shadow for 10 minutes. What's next?
Step 2
Right?
is to sprinkle some English thinking throughout your day.
English thinking.
Yes, instead of thinking in your native language.
Hmm.
Challenge yourself to describe your surroundings, your actions, your thoughts and feelings in English.
So if I'm making coffee, I would think, I am grinding the coffee beans. Or the coffee smells delicious instead of using my native language.
You got it.
Okay.
It might feel a bit strange at first,
Right.
but the more you do it,
Yeah.
the more natural it will become. You're essentially rewiring your brain to think in English.
Okay, so far so good.
Yeah.
10 minutes of listening and shadowing in the morning and then thinking in English throughout the day. What's the third step in our fluency routine?
Step 3 is dedicated to speaking practice.
Okay.
Set a timer for 5 minutes
Nice.
and just talk.
Go.
You can record yourself,
Right.
talk to a language partner online, even have a conversation with yourself in the mirror.
Hold on. Talk to myself in the mirror. That sounds a little unusual.
Trust me, it works.
Okay.
It's a great way to practice expressing yourself in English
Yeah.
without feeling self-conscious. You
Right.
can talk about anything you like, your day, your plans, your dreams, even what you're going to have for dinner. The more you speak, the more confident and fluent you'll become.
Okay. I'll give it a shot. So we've got listening, thinking, and speaking. What's the final step in our daily fluency routine?
The final step is all about review and reflection.
Okay.
Before you go to bed, spend just 5 minutes reviewing what you've learned that day.
Right.
You can write down new words and phrases,
Right.
read a short English article, or simply reflect on what you spoke about during your speaking practice.
So a little English brain food before bed to help solidify everything. I like it.
Exactly. This helps reinforce what you've learned
Right.
and prepares your brain for even more English adventures tomorrow.
This daily routine seems manageable,
Yeah.
even with a busy schedule. But what if I miss a day? Do I just start all over again?
Not at all.
Okay.
Life happens. The key is to be kind to yourself and just pick up where you left off.
Okay.
Consistency is more important than perfection.
That's good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've covered a lot of ground today with this daily routine. But are there any other tips or techniques we can use to supercharge our fluency journey?
Absolutely. One powerful technique is called chunking.
Chunking.
It's all about learning and using groups of words or chunks,
Okay.
rather than focusing on individual words.
Can you give me an example?
Sure, instead of learning happy today and I am separately,
Yeah.
you could learn the chunk, I am happy today.
Okay.
Native speakers use chunks all the time. It's
Mhm.
how we speak so fluently and effortlessly.
Right.
By learning these chunks, you'll be able to express yourself more naturally and smoothly.
That makes sense. It's like having pre-built phrases ready to go in my English toolbox. But how do I find these chunks?
Here's a tip. When you're learning new vocabulary,
Okay.
don't just memorize the word itself.
Right.
Look up common chunks and phrases that use that word. For example, if you're learning the word beautiful,
Yeah.
you could also learn phrases like a beautiful day or you look beautiful today.
That's a great idea. It seems like a more natural way to learn vocabulary, too, since I'm learning how words are actually used in context. What other techniques can I use?
Another important skill is active listening.
Active listening.
It's not just about hearing the words,
Right.
but about truly engaging with what you're listening to.
Okay.
Pay attention to the details, the pronunciation, the intonation, and try to understand the meaning behind the words.
So it's not just passive listening, like having something on in the background while I'm doing other things. I need to be actively engaged with what I'm listening to.
Exactly. When you're actively listening, you're analyzing the language, noticing patterns, and making connections. It's like you're working out your listening muscles and training your brain to understand English better.
Are there any ways to make myself a more active listener? Sometimes I find my mind wandering when I'm listening to English.
One technique is to ask yourself questions while you're listening.
Okay.
What are the main points of what the speaker is saying?
Right.
What new vocabulary did I hear? How is the speaker using their voice to convey meaning? You can even try to predict what the speaker is going to say next.
So I can turn listening practice into a little game. I like that.
Exactly. And the more you practice active listening,
Right.
the better you'll become at understanding spoken English, even at faster speeds.
Active listening check. What else can I do to boost my fluency?
Here's a technique that might sound a little strange,
Okay.
but it's surprisingly effective.
Okay.
Talk to yourself in English.
Talk to myself. Won't people think I'm crazy?
You can do it in private, of course.
Yeah.
The point is to create a safe and comfortable space to practice speaking
Okay.
without any pressure or judgment.
Right.
You can talk about anything you like. Your day, your plans, your thoughts, your feelings. The more you speak, the more confident and fluent you'll become.
So it's like having my own personal English conversation partner who's always available and never judges me.
Exactly. Think of it as your own private English playground, and the best part is you
Yeah.
can do it anytime, anywhere.
I can see how that would be helpful. It takes the pressure off and allows me to just practice and experiment with the language. Any other unconventional fluency tips you want to share?
Here's another one that might surprise you. Sing along to English songs.
Karaoke night for fluency practice. Count me in.
It's a fun and effective way to improve your pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation. And it's a great way to learn new vocabulary and phrases in a memorable way.
Plus, it's a great way to relax and de-stress. Singing always puts me in a good mood.
Exactly. So put on your favorite English playlist,
Okay.
grab a hairbrush microphone, and sing your heart out. You'll be surprised at how much it can help your fluency.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground today. Chunking, active listening, talking to myself, singing along to English songs. It's a lot to take in. What's the key takeaway from all these fluency boosters?
The most important thing is to find what works for you
Okay.
and make it a regular part of your English learning routine.
Right.
Whether you prefer listening to podcasts, reading books, watching movies, or chatting with friends online, the key is to immerse yourself in the language and make it a part of your daily life.
And have fun while doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Learning a language should be an enjoyable journey.
Right.
Embrace the challenges.
Okay.
Celebrate your progress and never stop exploring new ways to improve your fluency.
I love that positive energy.
Yeah.
But let's be real.
Yeah.
There are going to be times when we feel stuck, frustrated, or even discouraged. How can we stay motivated and keep that fluency momentum going even when it feels tough?
That's a great question, and it's something that every language learner struggles with at some point. Let's dive into some practical strategies for staying motivated and overcoming those inevitable fluency slumps.
So we've covered a ton of techniques and strategies to boost fluency,
hmm
but motivation can be a real challenge. How do we stay excited about learning English, even when we hit those inevitable bumps in the road?
That's such a crucial point. Motivation is the fuel that keeps us going. And just like any journey,
Yeah.
there will be times when we need to refuel and recharge our batteries.
So what are some practical ways we can keep our motivation tanks full?
One of the most powerful things you can do is to reconnect with your wife. Remember why you started learning English in the first place.
Okay.
What are your goals?
Right.
What do you want to be able to do with your new language skills?
That's a great reminder. Sometimes we get so caught up in the day-to-day grind
Yeah.
that we forget the bigger picture. We lose sight of those dreams that inspired us to start learning in the first place.
Exactly. So take some time to visualize yourself achieving those goals.
Okay.
Imagine yourself having fluent conversations, traveling to English-speaking countries,
Right.
connecting with people from all over the world. Let those positive images fuel your motivation.
I love that visualizing success. It's like creating a mental movie of my future fluent self.
Yes.
But sometimes those big goals can feel overwhelming.
Right.
It's easy to get discouraged if I don't see results right away.
You're right. It's important to break down those big goals into smaller, more manageable steps. Instead of focusing on becoming perfectly fluent overnight,
Yeah.
set smaller goals like learning 10 new words each week, watching one English movie without subtitles, or having a short conversation with a language partner.
So it's all about those small victories, those little wins that add up to big success over time.
Exactly. And don't forget to celebrate those small wins.
Okay.
Acknowledge your progress and give yourself credit for all the hard work you're putting in.
Yeah.
Those celebrations, no matter how small, will help you stay motivated and keep moving forward.
Speaking of moving forward,
Yeah.
are there any other things we can do to keep ourselves motivated and accountable?
Finding a language learning buddy or joining an online community of English learners can be a game changer.
Oh, I love that idea. It's like having a team of cheerleaders encouraging you along the way.
Exactly. Having someone to share your struggles, celebrate your successes, and practice with can make a world of difference. It's also a great way to get different perspectives and learn from other people's experiences.
So find your tribe and support each other on the journey to fluency. That makes a lot of sense. But even with a supportive community, there will still be times when we feel discouraged or frustrated. What are some ways to cope with those negative feelings and stay positive?
First and foremost, remember that it's okay to feel that way. Learning a language is a challenging process.
Right.
It's normal to have ups and downs. Be kind to yourself and don't get too discouraged when you make mistakes or hit a plateau.
I think that's really important, being kind to ourselves and acknowledging that it's okay to not be perfect all the time.
Absolutely. And if you're feeling stuck, try changing things up a bit.
Okay.
If you've been focusing mainly on reading, try watching some English movies or listening to podcasts. If you've been studying alone, try joining a conversation group or finding a language partner. Sometimes a little change of pace can reignite your passion for learning.
So shake things up and keep my brain engaged. I
Yeah.
like that. And most importantly, be patient.
Yes, patience is key. Fluency takes time and consistent effort. Don't get discouraged if you don't see results immediately. Trust the process, keep practicing, and celebrate every milestone along the way.
It sounds like mindset plays a big role in staying motivated and achieving fluency. It's not just about the techniques and strategies we use, it's also about how we think about ourselves and our abilities as language learners.
You're exactly right. Your mindset is incredibly powerful. It can either help you succeed or hold you back. If you believe that you're capable of becoming fluent, you're more likely to put in the effort and persevere through challenges.
So how can we develop a more positive and growth-oriented mindset when it comes to learning English?
One technique is to use affirmations, positive statements that you repeat to yourself to reprogram your subconscious mind and create a more positive self-image.
Okay.
Instead of saying, I'm bad at English, you could say, I'm becoming more fluent every day, or I am capable of learning and speaking English well.
So it's about changing the way we talk to ourselves, replacing negative self-talk with positive and encouraging words. I can see how that would make a big difference in how we approach learning.
Absolutely. And another powerful technique is to visualize yourself speaking English fluently and confidently.
Okay.
Imagine yourself having conversations, giving presentations, traveling to English-speaking countries, all with ease and confidence.
So I'm creating a mental movie of my future fluent self living my best English-speaking life.
Exactly. The more vivid and detailed your visualizations, the more impactful they will be. And the more you practice visualizing your success, the more your brain will start to believe that it's possible, which will make you more likely to achieve it.
I'm feeling inspired already. Any other mindset tips to share?
Remember to focus on progress, not perfection. Celebrate your small wins along the way, and don't be too hard on yourself when you make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. It's part of the learning process.
That's a good reminder. It's easy to get caught up in what we're doing wrong instead of focusing on how far we've come.
Exactly. So be kind to yourself. Embrace the journey and trust that you have the power to achieve your fluency goals.
This has been such an insightful and inspiring deep dive into the world of fluency. We've explored so many valuable techniques and strategies, from brain training exercises to confidence boosters to mindset hacks.
We have, and I hope our listeners are feeling empowered to continue their own English fluency
I
journeys.
think they are. But before we wrap up this episode, I want to share a final thought with our listeners.
Please do.
If babies can learn a language simply by being immersed in it, why can't we?
That's a brilliant point. Babies don't overthink grammar rules or worry about making mistakes. They just absorb the language naturally and effortlessly.
Exactly. So maybe the key to unlocking fluency is to tap into that childlike curiosity and willingness to experiment.
I completely agree. Let's all embrace our inner language learners and approach English with the same enthusiasm and fearlessness as a child learning their first language.
That's a perfect note to end on. Remember, fluency is a journey, not a destination. Embrace the ups and downs, celebrate your progress, and never stop exploring the fascinating world of the English language. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and keep believing in yourself. Until next time, happy learning.